What is going on, spectators? Today, we are about to go all in on the March Madness stuff. It's been a crazy week in sports. If you heard our newest podcast episode yesterday, you know that we hit every corner under the sun, except for the March Madness tournament coming up. It begins today with the first four. That'll go into tomorrow, and then we have the tournament officially starting on Thursday. I'm Julian. I'm here with my boy Gerard. What's going on, baby?
What's up, baby? Just ready for this college basketball March Madness time, baby.
Yes,
Best time of the
sir. It,
year.
it really is. This is a really fun time for sports. And I mean, we had everything yesterday and NFL free agency, and now we have the NCAA tournament, maybe the most fun thing as a singular playoff in sports. And we get it. It's happening. It's in different places too, not just locked in Indiana this year. So we're going to go ahead and just get right into it. We're going to start with the West. We're going to hop over to this Western region. It is led by the number 1 overall Gonzaga, and they're playing Georgia State. We're just going to go over every game. If we feel like we need to go into it in depth, we will. If we don't, we won't. And then we'll talk about which team we think will come out, each of us, of each region. We're only really going to go over the first round and then the overall winner, we think, because otherwise this will be a 4 hour 4 hour video. We don't want to put you out there that.
And I ain't got time for that.
I ain't
Nursing
got
school.
time for that. Exactly. Gonzaga and Georgia State. Is there really any discussion we need to have here? There's been one 16 seed to ever beat a 1 seed. Is this going to be number 2?
Really not.
Yeah, I
Chet
think so
Holmgren's
either.
too much.
I think he would maybe beat Georgia State on a 5v1. That's, I know, a little
Very easy.
disrespectful to Georgia State, but I think Chet is kind of a college beast. So Gonzaga pretty handily. Boise State,
Looking
Memphis.
out.
These 8-9 matchups are always really weird. I tend to feel like these 9 seeds are better. Usually, I usually feel like
Mhm.
they're better teams that kind of underachieved versus the other side, where they just kind of did well in their conference. And I feel that
Exactly.
way in this matchup. I actually really like Memphis. They had a great recruiting class. Penny's done a great job over there so far. They kind of
Yep.
underachieved also this season, but
Yeah, they had a really rough start, and ever since I would say before the conference tournament, I'd probably say the week or two before, they've been on a tear.
yeah.
Memphis has been running through their teams for the most part. And just a stat for you for 8, 9 seeds. Number 8 seeds are 71 and 73 versus number 9 seeds. So, but they did win 3 of the 4 meetings in last year's tourney. So, 8 seeds won more of the contests last year, but 9 seeds have an overall winning record against 8 seed in the first round. So, do with that as you choose. But I'm rocking Memphis and Penny on this one.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Nothing against Boise State. I think Memphis kind of has too much star power, and a lot of teams Boise are playing are not that way. So yeah, I'm going with Memphis on that one. Next game, we got the 5 versus 12. This is the true dreaded matchup. From what I understand, the 5 versus 12 typically goes towards the major 6 conference winner, no matter what seed they are. If it's
Hmm.
a 5 versus 12 and the major conference is the 12, I think it's something like 73% of the time they win that matchup. And if it's
Yeah,
a major,
31 out of 36.
yeah, and if it's a major versus major, usually the 12 seed wins. If it's a minor versus minor, usually the 12 seed wins. So this is a major as a 5 versus a minor as a 12. Based historically, UConn should come out on top of this. Actually, UConn's not a major anymore. They're still a Big East team in my mind, but they're actually not.
Yeah, exactly. They're AAC, right?
Yeah, they're AAC.
Yeah. So yeah.
So how do you feel about
Yeah,
this game?
I think I'm still going UConn. I think I had this game as UConn marked on mine. They're both averaging 65 a game. Defense wise, they're averaging about the same. And I'm sorry, they're giving up 65 a game, both averaging 70 73 points a game. And UConn has more of a track record against better teams.
Yeah,
I think that's going to play a huge
UConn
part in this.
UConn has a win over Villanova this year, and
Exactly.
that's about as big of a win as you're gonna have in the country. So I think they've played the better teams. I think they kind of have a little bit of steam coming in. Um,
And UConn's a storied college as far as March Madness goes, so
they're known to make
they're
a
not
run
new
or
to
two.
this.
Yeah, they're
I
not new to
mean, New
this.
Mexico State isn't either. I see them in there every once in a while, but UConn's feel like they're always here. So
Yeah, no, I agree. yeah, we're gonna go chalk on this one for the 5. Go UConn. We have Arkansas coming in as a 4 seed
Uh,
against Vermont. Is this Vermont? Yeah,
yeah.
University of Vermont as the 13. I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. There's a couple of like 4-13, some of these mismatches that you're kind of scared about. This is not one of them. I think Arkansas kind of steamrolls through this one.
Yeah, I'm having Arkansas on this one. No real debate on for me of this one.
Yeah. We go down to Alabama and Rutgers. Alabama's put together a pretty solid couple of years in the NCAA tournament and just in basketball in general. This year, they took a step back a little bit. I think they were a 2 seed last year, and they were kind of in that realm the last couple of years. They took a step back this year. They didn't particularly do well in the SEC tournament, and I actually am on upset watch on this game. I really like how Rutgers has kind of been. This is the first year, or the first 2 years ever, that they've had back-to-back appearances in the NCAA tournament. Last year, it was good enough just to get in. This year, they're technically not in yet. They do have to play this play-in game. I think that one's tonight, too. They play Notre Dame.
Yeah.
I
So
like
you think
Rutgers.
Rutgers is going to come out?
I think Rutgers is going to win that game against Notre Dame, and then I do think they're going to come in and beat Alabama. There's something about the quality teams that come out of those first 4 games that tend to make a run. I know UCLA did it, I think, last year.
Mhm.
Wound up making a deep run. Syracuse has done it a couple of times. And I actually just like this Rutgers team. I think they've played too many good teams as the year has gone on, and won some big ones. Now, I will say Alabama has beaten Gonzaga this year. That's probably the only reason they're a 6. That might be the only reason they're in the tournament. Truly, um, yeah.
One thing about Alabama, they are scoring 80 points a game, but at the same time, they're giving up 76. What I'm thinking, I'm with you. I'm with you, but I'm not with you because
Okay.
instead of Rutgers,
You think
I'm
it's Notre
going Notre
Dame?
Dame is going to
Okay,
come out.
I
Yeah,
hear
and
that.
I think whoever wins this game
Beats
tonight
Alabama.
between Rutgers is going to beat them and move on to the next round. But
Okay.
I have my money on Notre Dame.
Okay.
So,
I'll fully get behind that. I'm down for either one.
but yeah,
I've seen Rutgers play a couple times this year, and I really like the way they play. So I haven't really seen much of Notre Dame.
and on Notre Dame,
Texas,
they were a 2 seed in that ACC, so that's always a important standout.
yeah. I mean, it was a bad ACC this year, but still means something.
Mhm.
And then we got Texas Tech, Montana State. I don't think this game's particularly close either. Um,
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech is a really good defensive team, and they have some really, really tough wins. They've beaten Baylor twice. They beat Kansas once. They beat Tennessee. Like that. Those are some W's, and
Yeah.
they're kind of proven at this point. I don't think Montana State's gonna stop them.
I also thought Texas Tech was going to win their conference, but didn't play in the cards for them. But I have them going super far,
I
so
do
I have
too.
them
I do
walking the
too.
floor with Montana State.
Yeah, I think this is an easy one. I also think they have the easiest route to the Sweet 16. So keep that in mind as well. Um,
Yeah,
Michigan State and Davidson.
that's going to be a good
This is
game.
going to be a good game. This is going to be a good game. I think Michigan State has been incredibly overrated all year. I think they've played down to their competition anytime they play somebody bad. I think they play about how they are to their better competition. They have a couple good wins. I don't like Michigan State this year. I love Tom Izzo as a coach. I think
Mhm.
he's going to have a good game plan against Davidson. But I'm going Davidson here.
I feel like we always have a lot of the same takes because on my bracket I have looked up right here. I have Davidson going by. Um, like we said, Tom Izzo's team. They always do this. I don't know why. Like they
They
always
always
play
do
down,
this.
especially in the tournaments. I'm like, come to the tournaments, we can date back to the year they were the 2 seed and they lost in the first round. Then like the year before that, they made the Final Four. Like they were just upsetting Duke and all these things. I'm like, I wish I could just play consistently because then I'd feel more comfortable picking you.
Yeah.
Um, and Davidson's 1-0 against top 25 teams this year, so
Yeah. I
they
don't feel
they beat
comfortable with
Alabama,
Michigan State against storied mid majors at all.
right?
Because those are teams that game plan and play up, and Michigan State tends not to do that. So,
Yeah,
and then we got another
Davidson's not new to this
two.
tournament.
We got a 2 and a 15 with Duke. Duke has been a 2 seed before, and they were one of the few to blow the 2 seed. 2-15, but they're playing a baseball school in Cal State Fullerton, and I think this score is going to look like Vanderbilt playing a mid-major in baseball right now. It's going to be a blowout.
Yeah, I'll be at this game. No, not at this game, but I'll be in Greenville this weekend. That's where they're playing. So I'm fully expecting for Duke to be playing on the Sunday when I go to the games in the second round.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I
Comfortably.
fully agree with that. Yeah, so cool. Now of this bracket, who are you kind of looking at? I know Gonzaga's the 1 seed. Duke has been pretty solid all year, although they've had a couple of odd stumbles against some teams that they probably shouldn't have, which makes them pretty vulnerable, if you ask me, in the tournament. Um, who are you looking at to make it out of this bracket, or at least get to the end?
I think if I'm picking someone out of this bracket to get to the Final Four, I'm looking at Texas Tech. Texas Tech, they have been consistent all year. I think they're going to have back-to-back hard games against against Duke and against Gonzaga.
Most
But
likely
I
to
feel like,
against you know.
yeah, but I feel like Gonzaga could drop off in the round of 32 against Memphis, or they can also drop off the Sweet 16. I have them against Arkansas. I think they could drop one of those two games. So I think Texas Tech have some hard games to win, but I have them coming out of this bracket. I mean, this conference as my Final Four team.
I see, and you know what? We're kind of consistent. I think you and I for this whole side. I love the way Texas Tech plays defense. Uh,
Mhm.
this is probably one of the teams I've seen the most this year. I've seen a lot of Big 12 basketball, and so in the Big 12, they've held Baylor and held Kansas to point totals that they do not go to. Like they hold these teams down. They slow down the pace. They play fantastic half court offense. They have great set
It's
plays. And
you have to play to their game, not the
you
other way
have to play
around.
to
I
their
think that's
game. And
huge.
in college, when you have to slow down and change the way you play because this team is slowing it down, it makes it really difficult, especially for teams like Duke. They're pretty high flying. Gonzaga is super skilled, so that'll be a good matchup. I don't think they're going to hold Gonzaga the way they did Kansas, because Kansas is a little bit more of a fast paced team. But
Right.
I also like Texas Tech coming out of this, honestly. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech. I think the one thing that standing out to me the most is the fact that this is an experienced team. They're led by
Yeah.
juniors and seniors, and
Yeah.
these
Who have been here
seniors
before, too.
they were in the Final Four a couple years ago
Yeah, they've made
against
some
Virginia.
runs.
So
Yeah, no, I
I think
agree.
they're the championship game, not just Final Four.
Yeah,
I'm
they made it
sorry,
to the
yeah,
championship. They lost a heartbreaker in there too. So
should have won that game, but that's neither here or there.
yeah,
But
let's slide on down to the East. This is where the defending national champions are. The Baylor Bears are the 1 seed.
it's
More.
it is the hardest conference, or the
This is
hardest
the
part of the bracket.
hardest. This is the hardest bracket, I think, by a mile. I think UCLA is the best 4 seed that there is. I think UCLA, if they beat Oregon one time, or a 2 seed, they just couldn't beat Oregon for some reason. And then they didn't. They lost that. They lost like a 10 point lead in the Pac-12 championship, which that'll hurt you
Mhm.
too. Pac-12 wasn't the best it's ever been depth wise this year, but the top end talent was pretty good. Baylor's gonna win this first game pretty handily. I don't think there's
Yeah,
any
I think
debate
there's
there.
no contest to
They're
me.
they're they're the defending champions. They did have a lot of turnover, and the fact that they were as good as they were this year, despite losing Davion Mitchell, who was like the heart and soul of that team, and they lost a couple other guys, is very impressive, and it goes to show the program that they've kind of built over there in the last couple of years.
Yeah, Jared Butler's another one they lost as well, so that was a huge loss for them. But they're still thugging it out over there in the Big 12. So I like Baylor.
I like that you said thugging it out. Next up, we have it. This is a really interesting game because if you asked me this one 2 weeks ago, I would have told you Marquette stomps UNC.
Hmm.
UNC really struggled at the beginning of this year. They kind of have worked it out. They made themselves relevant in the ACC, and then they wind up beating Duke in the tournament, or not in the tournament, in the last game of the season on
Hmm.
on Coach K Day, which is I know you were
That's
very excited
beautiful.
about that. Yeah,
It
I know
was
you're super,
beautiful.
I know you're stoked about that. And they beat Virginia Tech twice, which Virginia Tech is surging now, and we'll talk about them in a little minute.
Mhm.
I think I'm still gonna take Marquette here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I mean,
only
like I
think I'm taking Marquette because I love the wins that they have had this season.
said,
And
yeah, I would
they
say
played in a tougher conference this year.
yeah, I would say Marquette has better wins than North Carolina for sure. I'm biased, obviously,
You're
so I'm
very
going
wise
North
there.
Carolina.
And that's fair. You're
But
allowed to.
I think I'm gonna back it up though. I'm gonna back it up.
Yeah?
But I think the win over Duke is was a huge win for us. I think that built a lot of confidence, and that was in the midst of a yeah. If we won that game, we got a double bye in the ACC tournament. So a lot going on. We got the double bye. That was amidst of a 5, 6 game win streak that we were on to end the season
Yep.
and into the tournament. So I think semifinal ACC conference game against Virginia Tech, we got all the ugly out, which is huge because that was like, all right, we're kind of way too hot right now for us to continue
Right?
this
Yeah.
throughout the whole tournament. But I think getting that ugly out is good for us. So I think UNC pretty handily takes over Marquette.
Okay.
I think UNC's 3-point shooting and the ability to rebound the ball is gonna cause a lot of problems for Marquette.
Okay. I can get behind that. Again, it's one of those 8 versus 9, so you really it's fully a toss up in these types of games.
Yeah.
Back to the dreaded 5 versus 12. This is another play-in game, and I feel the exact same way that I felt about the other one. Indiana to me is a very good basketball team. I like Indiana better than half the Big Ten teams that are in this tournament. I like them better than Michigan State. I like them better than Wisconsin. I know that's crazy because they're a play-in team and Wisconsin's a 3 seed. I like them better. I like the way that they play. It's very very fun for the
Mhm.
tournament, and I think they handle Wisconsin pretty easily. They ended the year on a weird note, right? They almost upset Purdue at Purdue. They wound up losing that game by like 2 or something like that, and then they get 2 big wins against Michigan and Illinois, lose to Iowa in the tournament. I like the Hoosiers though. I think that they played enough good teams that last month of the year, and I played pretty good games for the most part that they're gonna come out and take an SMU or St. Mary's, not SMU, St. Mary's, who they've been pretty solid. I mean, they had a good record. They played Gonzaga, and they always wind up beating Gonzaga once a year. People think they're great. Um,
Mhm.
I don't know. St. Mary's always is one of those teams that don't let the seeding fool you.
Right. I'm going St. Mary's on this one. First time in a while they cranked top 25 team, which I think for them is huge. And they're probably one of the better defensive teams
Yeah,
that
they are.
I've watched. Like they've beat Gonzaga the first game, lost pretty handily to Gonzaga the second game, but in the championship game, they stressed Gonzaga out for almost 2 whole halves. Like I'll say a half and like 3 quarters until Gonzaga finally started pulling away with Chet. But um, if they can hit the three, I think St. Mary's is not gonna have too much of a problem with Indiana. Yeah, I think Indiana's gonna beat was this Wyoming.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, I think they're gonna win. So I think it'll be Indiana, St. Mary's. St. Mary's wins, goes on to the next round.
Okay. UCLA Akron. As I said earlier, I think UCLA is one of the better 4 seeds in this,
Mhm.
but Akron's one of the better 13 seeds. Akron has a really really fun offense. They don't score a whole lot, but they're really fun offensively. Um, they don't really have any premier wins. They just don't. Uh, but they play pretty good defense. They get a lot of turnovers. They make possessions slow, and they shoot foul shots well. Which is, if you shoot foul shots well, helps you win a lot of big games. That's an issue I have with a team we'll talk about later too. But
Yeah, I know exactly what team you're already talking about.
let's go.
I know exactly what team you're talking about.
Yeah, I got an issue with them. But
Mm,
how you
we'll get
feeling?
there.
How you feeling about this game?
I think you say, like we said earlier, one of the better 4 seeds that I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
They're coming off a Final Four run and where they lost to Gonzaga on a heartbreak in
heartbreaker.
overtime.
Yeah,
That was a team that like once they started getting to the Elite Eight, I was like, they actually might go ahead and do this. Heartbreak game, and I think they're mad, and they brought everybody back, which I think is huge for them. Um, Borquez, I think I don't know, the one
Yeah.
dude who wears a headband, has the long hair. Their point guard that has the wild hair, and Juzang, they're all back, and those were the three main guys that led their team last year. So I'm thinking they're gonna make a little bit of a run this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with you. I do like Akron though. I think that's gonna be a spicier game than people might
Yeah,
think. But
and
I do think
no walk around, but
no, no.
I
I
think
again,
yeah.
I think Akron's the second best 13 seed that's around here. Next up, we got Texas and Virginia Tech. I love Virginia Tech
Ooh,
right now. I
hottest
love
team
Virginia. They are
in
the
college
hottest team in the
basketball
country. They
right
are the
now.
hottest team in the country right now. I don't care how good Texas is. I think they're crazy talented. They've had a really tough schedule, so they've kind of had a really up and down
Mhm.
season. Um, I like Virginia Tech. They just ended this season so hot because
Virginia
they.
Tech is only
I think
11
what
seed
they
because they
started
started out
conference.
bad.
They started off their conference like 2-6 or something like that.
They started out terrible, so that's why their seeding was so low in the tournament.
Yeah,
They are the hottest team. They beat UNC, turned around very next day and beat Duke in Coach K's final tournament game and to win the championship at that because they were a bubble team.
yeah, they
They
were a
were
bubble
like
team,
they
and they just said, "Nah, we don't want a
yeah.
bubble. We'll just punch it. We'll just punch it."
And when I was watching the selection Sunday and the fact that they're 11 seed, I think if they lose that game against Duke, they're not in it. I don't think they make it. I
Yeah,
think they're like
yeah.
there's four out.
I think that's exactly what that means. Like they don't wind up getting in. Um, The issue here is that these teams are both defensive, so it's gonna come down to can either one of these teams have a guy that kind of takes over. If there is a guy that's
Yeah.
gonna take over, I really like Allen from Texas. He's just a senior. He's kind of seen this, done this. Although they have not made any tournament runs in like a hot minute, Texas basketball
hmm
has kind of been meh for a while now. I like Virginia Tech. I'm taking the upset on this one. They're too hot.
Yeah. I, I think Keve Aluma is going to lead their team over with the upset over Texas.
Okay. This next game, I don't think we're gonna have much to say. Yale is not good. They're in because they won their conference. Yale is actually just
That's it.
not a good team. They're gonna get steamrolled. No. Boilermaker up, but they're gonna get steamrolled.
Purdue is one of the better teams in the conference,
Oh yeah.
so
Oh
I'm
yeah.
going Purdue. In the country, I should say, not even just the conference.
Murray State, San Francisco. This
I
is
think
another game that at first I was gonna get kind of fooled for a second. Again, another St. Mary's situation. But this team is not as good as St. Mary's. Murray State is fun too.
yeah,
Murray State's really fun.
I think Murray State has been fun since Ja was there, and I think ever he sparked up in his tournament run, I think they won one game, but it was the craziest two games I've seen in a very long time.
Yeah.
So I think ever since then, Murray State has been favorite for me. I think that they have a win against Memphis, which is huge. They beat Belmont twice. I mean, Belmont's usually in here. I don't think they're in here this year,
They didn't make it this year. They didn't make it this year.
but they're usually a team that's in the tournament. So,
Well, and
and
I think Murray State has two losses, and one of them is to Auburn, who's a 2 seed. So
18-0 conference records. So
they're on a
that's
20-game win streak, if I'm not mistaken, and they're
they're
maybe the
just hot.
best offensive rebounding team in the country.
And that they're a hot team right now, and it's so hard to stop a team with momentum in the tournament.
Yeah, and spoiler alert, I think Murray State's gonna make a nice little run here, a nice little Sweet 16 run, if you will.
You
I I think
hmm?
so. I really do. I love this team. I really do.
Gotta be they gotta be Kentucky.
No,
Kentucky.
you heard me right, and I think it ends where it ends. But Kentucky's taking this next game though. 2 versus 15.
Yeah,
Kentucky had a pretty rough loss to Tennessee. I'm not gonna lie to you. Tennessee's a really good squad though. But
yeah. I think this is one of the better Kentucky teams I've seen in the past couple years.
yeah, they've had a
So,
weird little lull. Kentucky never is bad, and ever since like the platoon teams with the Harrison brothers, they've kind of fallen off a smidge. Um,
mhm.
This is a better Kentucky team that I do think flounders. I really do.
Not
They win
as
this game.
reliant on their young guys
Yeah, they win this game. I'm stand by that.
pretty easily.
But team coming out of this.
Kentucky. I have Kentucky coming out of
Coming
this.
out of the
I
whole
have
thing?
them,
Oh, so that's why you were saying,
yeah,
hold on. Okay.
yeah. I have to I have them
Okay.
beat Murray State, then I have them beating Virginia Tech instead of Purdue in the Sweet 16. I have them beating Baylor, and then I have them losing to Texas Tech
Okay.
the Final Four. So I
Okay.
have them getting there
Oh,
at
so you got
least.
Texas Tech going to the finals.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so we can kind of talk that. I have my Final Four out of this side. I think is going to be Baylor and Texas Tech. I think Baylor just has too much experience. I think they're too athletic, and not much has really stopped them this year besides teams that they play 2-3 times a year that kind of know the way they play.
Yeah.
I like Baylor. I really do.
I
And
don't know
then,
his name, but the dude with the mullet is raw.
bro,
Baylor.
Baylor feels like they always have just like insane athletes too, and there's something to be said about that.
That is why I said they're thugging it out because that's what they do.
That's what they do.
They thug teams out.
They thug teams out. All right, next up, we're going to the South Division, which is kind of weird because Arizona is the representative of the South. That'll happen when Gonzaga is the 1 seed. It seems like every year. Arizona versus a play-in team. It's going to be a play-in 16. This is going to be one of those where the play-in game is going to be pretty solid. I think that game's tomorrow. And then that team is going to have so much invested into this game that they're playing tomorrow just to get in that they might lose by 50.
They're gonna be tired. They're gonna be exhausted.
They're going to be
And
exhausted.
Arizona,
They're going to be emotionally spent. And Arizona's going to come in and Harlem Globetrotter them and just kind of mop the floor.
I think Arizona's the best team in this tournament, so
I think they're the most
Arizona
talented team in this tournament, too. I agree.
walks with them pretty easy.
Yeah. Next up, we got a Big East team versus a Big 12. We got Seton Hall versus TCU.
Yeah.
Seton Hall rebounds the ball really well. That means
That's
something.
always good.
That means something, right? They're a pretty big team. They're a long team, so they rebound the ball pretty well.
TCU is one of the best defensive teams, though.
TCU. All right, I like TCU.
But
I like TCU in this game. I like TCU. I'm just gonna. This one's literally you throw a dart at the wall. I don't know. I'm going TCU.
yeah, I'm going Seton Hall just because, like we said, one of the best rebounding teams in the nation, and I think in big moments you got to get some big rebounds, especially in the March
Yeah,
Madness. You got one game.
dude. In college too, it's so crazy because some of these kids legitimately don't know how to rebound. So that'll be a big thing. We mentioned free throws earlier today.
Here it is. Here
And
they are.
we both knew here it was coming. Houston Cougars are going to lose this game. This team is maybe the
UAB.
5th most talented team in the country. I think Houston is insanely talented. They were insanely talented last year. They were still insanely talented, but this team can't shoot free throws. And when you have a team in UAB who has one of the best scoring guards in the country, Jordan Walker is an absolute stud. If you guys haven't seen Jordan Walker play this year, he is a stud. He's going to be an NBA guy, I'm sure, at some point, or at least, he should be drafted. He's an absolute offensive weapon. This kid can create, he can shoot, he does it all. And he's going to go to the foul line a lot, and he's going to make all of his.
Exactly. And I think UAB is a team that is primed to mess up brackets. This is the team that was put here and shake some stuff up because Houston last year made the Final Four, Elite Eight. I don't remember which one it was.
They made a run.
They had a run. It's not happening this year because if you're shooting, what are they shooting, like 50 something percent from the free throw line?
You're not going to win these big games. Like, you don't win games like that.
It's going to come down to free throws, and if it comes down to free throws, UAB will win this game.
Yeah.
I think there's nothing more to say to that.
100%. The only way Houston wins this game, in my opinion, is if they come out and have a
You gotta
20-point
stop
lead.
them.
If they have a 20-point lead in the first 15 minutes, which I think they can. They're crazy athletic, and I think this is a top 5 talented team in the country. but I don't think they're going to
Exactly.
win. And isn't that funny? UAB is the Murray State when Ja was there.
Exactly.
That is what this is. And I think UAB, thankfully, they don't have to play the 1 seed after this. So I actually think they're going to make a little bit of a little push here. And then
No,
another
I
really.
think it's a one and done.
You think so? Okay. So I assume you got Illinois coming out of this next game?
Yeah, Illinois, they're way too big. Kofi Coburn is he's a matchup problem for 95% of the bracket.
Think of the kid from Iowa last year. Luca Garza. Yeah. Or
yeah, his jersey retired too.
Yeah, think of him. Year. That's kind of the type of talent Kofi Coburn is. They're gonna win this game. A lot of people were taking Chattanooga. I know Nico's a Chattanooga guy for sleeper teams. I'm not.
Right.
I'm not.
Exactly. Like Kofi Coburn is Cockburn. It's
Coburn. It's Coburn.
Yeah, he is a dog. He's averaging 21 and 10. I think he's the only person in basketball averaging.
He's the only guy in the country averaging a double-double. That's over like 11 points, something like that.
And that's why I said UAB is going to have a problem because they're super undersized. That's their biggest problem is they're undersized.
Yeah, they score, but they can't get boards. Like if they played Seton Hall, I'd be kind of scared because Seton Hall is just going to get all those misses.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think UAB could put up a fight against Illinois, and they could maybe outscore them. But if they let Coburn slow down the game, then it's not going to be a chance. But yeah, Illinois is winning this Chattanooga game. Don't let other people convince you otherwise. That'll happen. Colorado State and Michigan. I think Michigan. I mentioned it earlier when I was talking about Indiana. I don't like a lot of these Big Ten teams, and Michigan's right there with them. I don't like Michigan State. I don't like Wisconsin, and I don't like Michigan. I just don't. I don't think they're all that. I don't like the way they play. I think they come into games and they think that they're more talented than other teams because they are, and then they play down to their competition exactly like Michigan State. And every time they've played a big team, I feel like they've gotten crushed. I think Arizona killed them by like 25. It might be a little bit less than that, but like Arizona killed them. Illinois killed them twice, and then Wisconsin killed them.
Yeah.
And I think they have a couple other losses. Like they probably lost to Purdue, and they probably lost to Seton Hall because I know they played them this year. And this team is like 3 games over 500. They're not that good. Yeah. This team is not that good. They're a result of their conference being very stacked, so they got it.
I think they made it just because of like what you said, but I think they pull it out. I think they somehow find a way to win the game. 6 seeds are 21 and 23 against 11 seeds is kind of like the 5, 8, 9 matchup where it's just
kind of a throw up. Toss them
but I think Michigan wins this game. It'll be a close one. Vontae Jones and Hunter Dickinson, I think they're 2 really good players that you need to look out for in this game, and I think both of those guys do what they need to do, and they secure a win. Michigan's been here before.
Yeah, they've been here before. I like Colorado State here. I think they're way too efficient on offense, and I think they're going to be hard to stop. I think they're going to score more than their game average here because they're going to be hard to stop, and I like them winning this game. Doesn't matter, though, because then you got Tennessee that you would have to play after. Tennessee's going to dominate, absolutely dominate Longwood.
Tennessee is going to have 2, I think, in my opinion, very easy back-to-back games.
Yeah.
They're going to take care of Longwood, and then they're going to take care of Michigan, or in your case, take care of Colorado State. Tennessee.
One thing we don't talk about enough is I feel like being the 3 seed is like the best position to be in. Because I feel like a 6 is never actually that good. And then an 11 is kind of like one of those teams that won their conference, or they were like a bad major conference team, kind of like Michigan, kind of like Indiana, like a Rutgers where they're not quite the best in their conference. So I feel like the 3 seed is just like a sneaky, easy way to get to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, and then Tennessee's defense have always been pretty stellar, and I think they're one of the better defensive teams in the tournament. So
it's a very defense-heavy season, is what I'll say. A lot of the really good teams are really solid defensively, which is pretty fun. Ohio State versus Loyola Chicago. We got Sister Jean back in business again. I feel like everybody and their mother is gonna say Loyola Chicago is gonna win.
Not
It's
I.
not happening. Not I. Not I. Ohio State's like, dude. Is every team in the Big Ten in this? I think
I
every
think they
team.
had the most.
I think every team in the Big Ten is in this, and maybe that's why I don't think so highly of them because they all kind of got in. So it's like, well, you do have some bad teams. You know, not
Yeah.
all y'all are good, but Ohio State I
They
think is
beat,
one of the better ones.
I think Ohio State has some big wins this year. They beat Duke. They beat Illinois. They beat Wisconsin one out of 2 times. They beat Michigan. They beat Seton Hall. And they beat Michigan State. So all of those teams
That I said I didn't
are
like.
tournament teams.
Yeah, all those
Yeah.
teams I said I didn't like, they've beaten.
Ohio
So.
State, I think they're pretty healthy right now. So I think Loyola Chicago, they're a fun team to cheer for. They've always been a fun team to cheer for, but I think Ohio State gets the job done.
Now, the only reason that I think Loyola could win this game is they're crazy experienced. This team is like
Yeah.
straight seniors.
Because they
Uh,
were here a couple of years ago too, doing the
yeah,
same thing.
and this team is fully seniors. So, if
Hmm.
they were gonna make noise, it was because of that. But I like Ohio State in this one. I like Ohio State.
But EJ Liddell is a problem.
Yeah, I think he had
EJ
like
Liddell
2 or 3 game winners this year. Like,
a dog.
he's been a dog. This next game is only fun because Delaware's name is the Blue Hens, and they have Orlando Magic legend Jameer Nelson Jr.'s son on the team. And that's
Really?
kind
I
of
didn't
cool.
know that.
Yeah. Jameer Nelson Jr. is on this team, and he's actually a tremendous shooter. He's exactly like his dad, so that's kind of fun. But Villanova is.
I'm not betting against Jay Wright
I
and
I
his
don't
team.
bet against Jay Wright. I would put him in the Final Four every year if you told me pick one team that if they could get consistent recruiting to make it every year, it would be Villanova. I think they're too well
Yeah.
coached and they're built to make it despite having good or bad years. And this was like objectively not their best season as a whole. And I
Yeah.
still really like them coming into this tournament.
I think you said going against Jay Wright if you're a betting guy, it's never a smart thing to do. Never a smart thing. And Colin Gillespie and Justin Moore, if they knock down their shots,
Gillespie is maybe the best player in the country, by the way. Like I know he's not gonna win like the player of the year. Or maybe he will. I don't know.
I think one of the better scorers in the country for
He's
sure.
crazy. He is absolutely crazy. And this team is the best foul shooting team in the country. So shout out Houston. And they are, I think, the 5th best team in turnover differential. They're not going to make mistakes. So you're going to have to outscore them. And
Yeah.
when you have a bona fide scorer with Gillespie,
It's kind of tough.
it's kind of
Kinda
tough. Give me Villanova and give me Villanova to the Final Four. Just go ahead and do that for me. This is the toughest
Me-
bracket, I think.
Yeah,
I think this is the
100%.
toughest bracket just because the top 4, really 5 seeds. Because again, Houston is really good.
I think this one's the hardest because if someone made an argument, there are 4 teams that could legit make it to the championship game out of this bracket.
If you told me Illinois was in it, I would believe you.
If you told me Illinois was going to make it, if you told me Tennessee was going to make it, if you told me Nova was going to make it, obviously you told me Arizona was going to make it to the championship game or the Final Four at least, I think 100% that any of those teams could play in New Orleans come April.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think it's going to be Villanova. I think they're not going to make the mistakes. And college basketball is all about mistakes because at the end of the day, these kids are amateurs. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of how I'm feeling on that. Where are you at with it? Any of those teams can make it. But
Arizona.
which one is Arizona?
Arizona. I think Arizona's, like I said, the best team in the tournament, and I think that's my winner is Arizona. So
Okay, you got them winning the whole thing.
free,
So
hey, free game, baby, Arizona.
free game. He got Arizona and Texas Tech in the finals. So keep that in mind for you guys. We're gonna scroll down here to the last and final bracket. We are going to the Midwest. We got Kansas. We've seen this story a million times. I think Kansas is
Don't buy into Kansas.
don't buy it.
Kansas.
Don't buy into Kansas this year. I think they actually make a
Never
little
buy
bit of a run because this is the easiest bracket by the widest of margins. I actually think this bracket's terrible.
I think they get to the Sweet 16 and then they face a team we'll talk about later. But I think once they meet this team, it's a wrap for them.
Sweet 16. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Kansas is gonna win their first game.
Yeah. I mean, TCC is playing Texas Southern. TCC is going to win their playing game. TCC is going to get stomped by Kansas because Kansas, they are a good team. They are just not a good tournament team.
Yeah.
Always great. Kansas is always great. This is the first time they've been a one
It's just
seed
been
in
a
a
while.
hot
They
minute.
haven't proved anything in the tournament in a long time, and
Yeah.
they're always losing in the Elite Eight. Like they're in love with the
Exactly.
Elite Eight.
Just they crumble every year.
Well, I don't know about these two teams. I really don't know anything about them.
I
I'm
always
gonna
pick
go Creighton because I
just
like the Big East. Send the
yeah,
tweet.
I like yeah, like I said, I don't know much about this. I would say San Diego State have a chance. They're not really a scoring team, but they are a very good defensive team. But I think Creighton's a better scoring team, and I think that's gonna. I think they have wins against. They beat UConn twice. Creighton did, which is big wins. They beat Nova. They beat Providence. Um, they beat Marquette 3 times. So San Diego State doesn't really play anybody, and I think that's gonna hurt them in this tournament. Usually doesn't for them because they're usually a little bit of a better seed. The 8-9 matchup, give me
It's
Creighton.
tough. Yeah, that's a tough one.
If it's especially if it's a close game, Creighton's gonna pull it out.
Yeah. I just like the Big East gauntlet that they kind of had to go through. So I'm going with Creighton. Again, I don't know too much about those teams. Iowa and Richmond. This is a team I know a lot about. Iowa is a fantastic team.
Yeah, they didn't lose a step after losing Garza, which is huge.
This team offensively did not miss a step. I think they're a top 5 offensive efficiency team. They have an absolute stud. Keegan Murray is really good. And
23 points per game.
he is very good. He gets his own bucket whenever he wants. And when you're a small school, usually the small schools kind of have these guys, right? Like when you look at UAB, like you have a Jordan Walker. Usually those small schools have these random one-off guys that are really talented. When you have a big school with good recruits, that's like basketball DNA, with one of them, it's going to be tough. Iowa takes this one pretty handily.
Yeah, Richmond's only here because they won their conference game, their tournament.
Yeah.
So Richmond Spiders finna get stomped on, you know what I'm saying?
Get stomped on. This game's going to be fun. Providence, San Diego State. I think if you've gone on TikTok and seen anybody...
South Dakota State.
Yeah, sorry. If you've gone on TikTok and seen anybody talking about this game, they're telling you to put money on the Jackrabbits. And I'm right there with them. I like the Jackrabbits. I think they are just insanely fun.
And they score so many points.
They are so efficient, and they just jack up threes. They don't lose games if they're winning them. They literally do not have a loss this season when they're winning at the half.
A 21-game winning streak.
I think it's the longest winning streak in the country besides Marquette, too. Their last loss was to Alabama, if I'm not mistaken. And that was early in the season. They figured it out. Their conference isn't good, so there's something to be said about a 21-game win streak in a conference that isn't good. And Providence can score a little bit, so this is not going to be a very defensive game. This might be NBA scores. Like this might be 98-92. I like the Jackrabbits. Give me the Jackrabbits. Give me it.
Yeah, I also have the Jackrabbits in this game. A huge stat that I'm looking at for this game. This is shout out to all the bettors out there. Summit League champion has won a first round game to the last 2 tournaments. So they're looking to make it 3 in a row here. So
okay. I like that.
Take a look at.
I like that. Let's do that.
And I think but Providence, they're not like a huge defensive team. They can make stops. But you have to be playing against one of the highest scoring, I think the highest scoring offense in college basketball.
It is. It's the highest scoring, and they have like the highest percentage of threes that get shot. So
yeah.
They're a fast team. And they're okay with making mistakes because they score so much,
Yeah, like, I missed a 3. Don't worry. I'll make 3 in a row next time.
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh.
Yeah. LSU, Iowa State. SEC wasn't that good this year. I don't really have faith in that conference.
Yeah. LSU, they're super young. I think that's gonna hurt them. They don't have much carrying over from the last couple years, and they have the highest, like one of the highest turnover rates in the country. And if you're turning over in like a win or go home kind of situation, more times than not,
Bye.
you're gonna go
Bye
home. So
bye later. Yeah,
I always like Iowa State in the
I
tournament.
love Iowa State as a team to make a little bit of a noise. Because Iowa State kind of like what is it? North Carolina State, right? Uh that's a team that just
Yeah.
wreaks some havoc on random teams that kind of out of nowhere. Iowa State always
Hmm.
beats Kansas once a year. They always beat Oklahoma once a year. They'll beat Baylor. Like I don't know if they did this year, but they always wind up winning some of those games out of just no reason. Um, and
Yeah.
sometimes
I
they're
think
actually really good. This year, not so much. But
if you're picking a like a Cinderella, if you have to pick a Cinderella team, here, look at me. I'm looking at the camera for this one. If you're picking a Cinderella team to cause a lot of damage, Iowa State is your Cinderella team.
yeah, they have the
There's
easiest.
always one.
They have the quote unquote easiest route to the Sweet 16 as a double digit seed, in my opinion.
Mm.
Which it's not an easy one. I think LSU is not bad. Wisconsin, they've had a good year, and they play exactly Wisconsin basketball. Wisconsin will win this game too against Colgate. Um, Wisconsin basketball sucks though. I hate watching
Just they're
Wisconsin.
inconsistent.
I
They're
hate
super
watching Wisconsin. You
inconsistent.
can't be a team that preaches fundamentals and not be that good at fundamentals. It's weird. It's like if Tim
I've
Duncan
never
didn't
been a
have mid
huge
range.
fan.
It's like that
Yeah.
doesn't work.
Never been a huge fan of Wisconsin ever since the Sam
Kaminsky.
Decker and
Yeah,
Kaminsky.
yeah. Those
Even
teams were
then,
fantastic.
that was
Even
that
those
team.
teams
They
were
were probably
even
the
those
best
teams were
teams.
fun and they were still
They still didn't win
yeah,
because they are inconsistent. They've always been inconsistent.
yeah. No,
So
I'm there
yeah,
with you.
Wisconsin goes by Colgate in my opinion as well.
USC Miami is a great game. I actually think
In
USC
Miami.
is
Ooh.
way underrated in terms of where they got placed. I think USC could have been a 5 or a 4 seed.
Mhm.
But they've kind of been undervalued all year. I think people didn't think they were as good as they kind of were. They were like the one overall for a second just because they were the only undefeated team. And they like lost 2 games that week, and everybody's like, yeah, they sucked like we figured. But I actually think
Yeah,
USC is pretty solid. I don't know anything, zip, zilch, nada about
about
Miami. So
Miami.
not a fan.
So here's why I'm picking Miami.
Okay.
So I'm going to the tournament games over in Greenville. Miami's in that bracket. I'm going with Cameron, who's probably biggest Duke fan I know, and I'm also going with Tony Alvarez. Shout out Tony.
Shout out Tony.
He's probably the biggest Miami fan in this area, like his family and just in general.
I would
They're
agree.
probably one of the
I would
biggest
agree.
Miami fans.
Yeah,
So
I would agree.
I think it's gonna work out for both of them that
Okay.
come the second round games on
Okay.
Sunday. And this is the
Okay.
only reason I'm picking Miami.
Okay.
I'm
So
picking it off
Tony
of
is
like a
willing them to a win.
yeah, Tony Alvarez.
Okay.
Shout out Tony. Shout
Shout
out
shout out
Gordo.
Gordo. Yeah, shout out Gordo. Willing his team to a victory. What a man. And then we got Auburn. Auburn is probably the best 2 seed outside of Villanova. They were the one
Auburn,
overall all year.
Auburn very well could have been a 1 seed, and the fact that they're a 2 seed is dangerous.
Dangerous. I think they win this conference or this division, whatever it is, region, whatever. I think they win it.
Yeah,
I actually don't think it's particularly hard either. I don't think they have a tough game until the Final Four.
I think their tough game is going to come at the hands of Iowa, and I think Iowa is going to take them out.
Ooh, okay. So you got
I
Iowa
think
in the Elite Eight, taking on Auburn and beating Auburn, so that your Final
yeah,
Four is looking like Texas Tech, Kentucky, Arizona, and Iowa.
and Iowa.
Okay. Wow. Okay. My Final Four is going to be Auburn, Villanova, Baylor, and Texas Tech. Only 1 seed from both of us. Good stuff.
Hate 1 seeds, man. Hate them.
It's just 1 seeds, like, it's so easy to want to pick them, but I think it's less common to have all 1 seeds than it is to have no 1 seeds.
Yeah, and I think there's like a 46% of the time Iowa, no, not Iowa, I'm sorry, 1 seeds, at least 1 seed takes it, then it drops down once you add another one, and once you add another one, it drops like below 15. So
So
it's either only
we're
I would
taking our
say
one and we're running. We're taking our
the
one
six
and running.
percent chance. I was like, I'm
Give me
taking that.
that.
I'm
Give
a
me the
betting man.
percentage, baby. Give me the percentage, baby. But those are our predictions for the NCAA tournament. Gerard, thank you for taking some time. Do you
Of
have
course.
a person real quick you think might be like the player of the tournament? Who's your guy for that? One shining moment. This is the guy.
Oof. One shining moment guy. Oof. He's put
Because
me on the spot.
because I
I
think we
wasn't
get a
thinking about
Jordan.
it.
I mentioned him earlier. I think we get a Jordan Walker buzzer beater, and I think he winds up being like that. They only win a game or two, but
I
I like
think,
him from UAB.
yeah.
But if you're going
Man,
Iowa, you're probably
I think
you're probably a Keegan Murray
that's
guy.
my yeah. If I had to pick one, I think I'm going with Iowa. Yeah, Keegan Murray is that's my dude, bro. I've been watching him all year,
He's nasty.
and
He's nasty.
23 points per game from Keegan Murray. I think they're going to stir things up as a 5 seed.
Okay, let's get it. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know what your brackets are looking like, and if you haven't already, make sure you join the Spectators Bracket. We're giving away something. I don't know what. We haven't really. We've been trying to figure out what we're giving away, but the guy who wins the whole thing will be getting some sort of prize. Stay tuned for our social
And
to
it's
figure out what that
free.
is. It's free to
And
enter.
it's free.
Completely free to enter.
Yeah.
Make sure you look up the Spectators Bracket or check us our socials or the description down below. That'll be there for you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys next time. And later, spectators. Peace.